Hi, and thanks for joining. This is Liz Whitaker. I am with Divination Station TV on Divine Arts, Three of Cups Divine Arts. I am Liz Whitaker, host for this broadcast. Today, I will be talking about the High Priestess, everything that the High Priestess, all of her symbolism, what she means when she shows up to you, and what to look for and how to handle that. When you join the live broadcast, please take a moment, drop your name, where you come from, and your pronouns in the comments. If you're watching the replay, comment with #replay so we know that people are interested, and it helps us reply to your comments. Remember to share the broadcast and comment #shared, and so we know who has shared. Don't forget to wow react the video, share to your page, tag your friends in the comments. You'll not only be helping us improve our organic reach from the page, but also be helping others who might be interested in finding the channel and finding the show. I hope you enjoy the show for the evening, and I hope to get to know you better. So thank you for joining Divination Station. Hi, Becky. Again, if you are joining, please go ahead and drop your name, where you're from, and your pronouns. And I believe Facebook's usually on a little bit of a delay, so if you do comment, give me a few seconds to reply. All right, I'm just going to go into a little bit of chit chat here. I'll give a couple other people to join. Yep, Becky in Ohio. Hi. Delay isn't too bad. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, today we are going to be going over the High Priestess. She is the next step in the Fool's journey. So the structure of the show is going to kind of go like this. We're going to do a little bit of an intro. I'm going to go over the information for the High Priestess. I'm going to show you some different examples of what that card looks like. And we're going to go over the card pull from last week. So I did the weekly forecast last week. We're going to revisit that, kind of take a look and see maybe if it resonated for you, what cards resonated, maybe what didn't. And we're going to pull another forecast for this week. I do also want to do a little section I want to call Tarot Tips. So just little kind of tidbits of information on how to read, how to improve your readings for yourself and for others. I am going through my Thoth deck right now to get the High Priestess out. All right, we got a couple people here. It is a little bit rainy here in Buffalo, but it's not too bad. It's about 45 degrees, which is, you know, for December, I'll take it any day. Awesome. Pulling the High Priestess pretty quickly in these decks, so that's awesome. And how's everybody else's week been? I know energy has kind of been a bit crazy. My week has been kind of stressful, and it's only Monday, but that's kind of bleeding over from last week. So we'll take a look at the High Priestess. So again, as you're jumping on, please comment who you are, your pronouns, and where you are joining us from. Okay, so we're going to talk about the High Priestess today. She is card number 2 in the Major Arcana. Again, I'm going to be focusing on the Rider-Waite-Smith cards, but I will be showing other cards, other examples, kind of as we go through it. A couple other people joined. Hi, Jackie. We're in Canada. Yeah, definitely a lot of weird energy. And thank you for sharing. Okay, so the High Priestess. She is the divine feminine in the form of stillness and quiet. Her mind is the home of intuition and instincts. When she is still, what she is actually doing is receiving information and processing it and synthesizing it. She is the home of intuition. All of the intuition, emotions, everything flows from her. Her correspondence, she represents the moon, Newfoundland. I'm right across the river from Fort Erie, but I've never gotten that far. She represents the moon. You can kind of see the crescent moon at her feet. Down there, you see on her headdress, she has the represents the moon as well. So what is the moon? The moon is reflective. And that's exactly what the High Priestess is. Emotions flow from her. And if you look at the bottom of her gown, it looks like water flowing. One of the tips that I learned when I was going through each card and learning the major arcana was all of the emotion, all of the water that you see in the major arcana kind of flows from her. So as you look at the suits, you can kind of follow that water up and follow it to her. One card that I'm thinking of right now is Eight of Cups. If you're not familiar, we'll get there. There's a lot of water flowing in that card. So we kind of follow it up to the High Priestess. So anytime you see water, you can kind of connect it back to her. She is the still and passive guard between the conscious and unconscious. She kind of sits at the veil. She sits at that conjunction. She sits between the two pillars. If you want to get really deep into symbolism, the B and the J is Boaz and Joaquin, and they were two pillars at the Temple of Solomon. We're not going to get too much further with that, but that's what those are. And you can kind of see she's there. There's a curtain of pomegranates behind her that is, of course, reminiscent of the underworld. So she sits at that veil between the conscious and the underworld. You know, also, anytime we talk about pomegranates, we talk about Persephone and her, descent into the underworld. She is the gatekeeper of light and dark. So any lightness, darkness, she's kind of in the middle of it. She sits not one or the other, but she is the almost guardian of it. She represents that. She's the still wisdom keeper. When the High Priestess appears, you want to reflect on your situation and really listen to your intuition. Listen to what it's telling you. Sometimes when the High Priestess comes up, it's really asking us to go deep, really asking us to sit in silence with ourselves and really figure out what's going on. Like with tarot, we probably know what's going on, but haven't really spent the time to really dig deep and figure it out. She sits holding the wisdom of the universe. It's yours to discover if you sit and listen. So after the magician, right? The magician was at creative, manifesting energy. We're invigorated from that manifestation, but we're having issues reaching our potential. You can create and create and create all day, but still feel uncomfortable with where you're at. You still might not feel satisfied. And why? Like we keep making all of that, the magician energy. The High Priestess steps in on that next step and asks us to really look deep into ourselves. What is our blockage? I am also an intuitive coach, and one of the things that I do focus on is finding someone's blockage and working through that blockage. Yeah, you already have the answer inside you. And exactly, especially in combination, that's a very good point, Becky. You already have that answer inside you, and we just need to hear it. And sometimes we just need to be quiet enough to hear it. Where is the blockage? Meditating is a really good way to find the blockage. It's not always the easiest thing to do. And it can be whatever form of meditation is best for you. When I am doing a coaching session and, I really feel that mindfulness would be best, it doesn't have to be, Zen, sitting, quiet meditation. There's so many things that are meditative. Cleaning, washing dishes, straightening up, can be meditative for some people. Taking a walk, there's walking meditation. It's not always just sitting in silence. And she might not come up in every reading or in a lot of readings. Becky said when she sees her frequently is when people are looking for spiritual answers. She comes up a little bit more frequently for me, and I think it's because I do work with people that are looking for blockages. They're looking to get from somewhere to somewhere else, and we're here, and we're trying to figure out what that block is. The High Priestess will come up and really ask us to look in there. Yes, showers, swimming, something about water, taking a nice meditative bath, swimming, water flowing, yes. And hula hooping. That's not one of my preferred methods, but that's only because I don't have a hula hoop. Maybe I need to get one. So yeah, anything where you're moving your body and it's meditative and rhythmic really will kind of put you in that High Priestess state. Meditating is the key on how to discover how you are preventing yourself from taking that next step. And once we unlock the keys to our own potential, we are limitless. And, she holds the scroll there. That is, I believe it says T-O-R-A, Torah. So she holds that wisdom with her. And I like to say that the High Priestess, she doesn't give advice. She's not going to tell you what to do. She's going to give you wisdom, and she's going to hold space for you to find that wisdom yourself. The High Priestess and her still energy is a great card to meditate on. Real quick meditation for the High Priestess is if you get a piece of moonstone or rose quartz in your hand. Moonstone is, of course, representative of the moon, and rose quartz is that kind of soft, emotional energy. Picture yourself bathed in that blue light, that nice light, blue light, with her in the front of the room. All is still and quiet. You have no choice but to sit in the stillness and examine your thoughts. Do this if you're really having trouble taking that next step. Kind of do the visualization, like picture yourself in the room with her. Like, what would that feel like? Just kind of picturing it's like a reverence. You want to feel like you're reflecting. You want to sit in that stillness and be quiet. And it's like with the moon, see what phase the moon is in. See if that is having any effect on your mood, your decision-making, or lack thereof. Is the moon waxing? Is it waning? Is it close to the new moon, close to the full moon? And each of those phases has a different feel, right? New moon, dark moon is a good time to set new intentions. And then as the moon is waning, waxing, opposite. As the moon is waxing, getting bigger, we want to build that. And then once the moon is full, we want to reflect. How have we done? How did we do in that manifestation? And then as the moon is waning, we want to kind of take it easy on ourselves. We might want to take things a little bit slower, do some reflection. I know there is the new moon or full moon on 12/12 coming up, and it is going to be at 12:12 a.m. So that is going to be a really powerful full moon. I think some people are already feeling it. So if you are feeling the pull, do some work with the High Priestess. It's just about that time, and the full moon will be in Taurus. So it's a good time to reflect on material side. It's a good time to reflect on money. Let me just double check that full moon. Yeah. So the full moon will be moving into Gemini on that day. Apologies. So we're in Taurus now, and that full moon is going to flip into Gemini. So Gemini is a good time to reflect on communication. How are we communicating? Are we communicating effectively or at all? Yes, it's a good time to purge during the waning moon too. So really kind of getting rid of what doesn't serve you. Maybe you did the reflecting at the full moon and you know that some things are kind of too much. You need to kind of get rid of some stuff. It's a good time to do that. So Gemini is going to ask us to, really look at how are we communicating. Sailor Moon. Sorry. So I'm going to show a couple other examples of the High Priestess, starting with the Tarot de Marseille. So again, this deck is one of the older style decks, a little bit more of like a woodcut, more bold colors. You can still see her holding the book in front of her. Still the idea of kind of the two towers, not quite as distinct as the Rider-Waite-Smith. And then she's actually called the Pepas or Popas. So High Priestess in Italian would have been Pepas. And she's got a lot of red, so that would indicate a lot of energy, vitality, and then the blueness is the stillness. So she's got kind of that mix of those two energies there. In the Tarot de Marseille, we look at colors. One of the traditions of the Golden Dawn is to look at the colors on the card. Yes, Gemini is a great time. Becky says, Gemini is a great time to examine your subconscious and your blocks. Real High Priestess energy, I agree. Really kind of reflecting and seeing where you're at. The next one that we are looking at every week is going to be the Thoth deck. So this one, there's almost a lot going on. There's a lot going on there. So we have the Priestess, and then the number 2, and then at her feet, not only do we have that idea of the moon, there's also the idea of kind of flora and fauna. We have fruit, we have flowers, we have a little deer guy over there, and then we also have gemstones. So it's almost like all of the, everything that the world is made of is there. And there's like some sacred geometry too, if you can kind of see that. There's like sacred geometry overlaid the whole thing. And she still has the crown, the moon crown, and her arms are held up. And it looks like she has peacock feathers kind of behind her arms too. So with this deck, you can sit and focus on it and you'll see a million different things. This one, it really looks like she is pulling down. She is pulling the information down from spirit. She is allowing it to flow into her. So there's a lot with the crown chakra in this one. Hi, Amy. Again, as you are popping on, please introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, tell us your pronouns. We are looking at the High Priestess today. And since I started in the first one, we're going to be looking at the Tarot of the Cat People. Again, this is the deck that I have, that I started reading with, so I've had this one forever. So this one, you know, we have the regal looking robes, we have the two towers that almost look like, they remind me of like obsidian cat statues with like glowing like amber eyes. So the High Priestess is in between. You know, she holds her staff and she kind of has that, like she's almost like waiting. And I have the Wild Unknown. So I wanted to bring this deck out. Wild Unknown is a really great deck. It's really easy to use. It's really intersectional. So a lot of people can identify with it. You don't have the, yay, this is one of Becky's first decks too. So the Wild Unknown was kind of one of the, at least in my memory, was one of the first kind of decks that came out as like an indie deck and kind of blew up. It was really popular in the LGBTQ community because it does not have a heteronormative feel. It's very intersectional, can be used in any culture. And I really like that about this deck. And you can see the High Priestess, so it still has that really still feel. The moon is pretty prominent there. We see the crescent moon. And in between, and we have Marcy. Hi, Marcy. We have it looks like a globe, but it almost looks, I have cats, so it looks like she's waiting to play with it. It looks like she's guarding her toy. My cat does this with her toys. So she's sitting there with it between her paws. It is, to me, also reminiscent of the pearl that is in the headdress here. And of course, it's a beautiful white tiger. So we also have that kind of, that feline energy. And Marcy says she met Kim Kranz. That is awesome. I also love her Animal Oracle deck. I haven't seen the other Oracle deck that she made, but yeah, I love it. Yeah, and also if you are enjoying the show, please remember to click the bell icon to be informed whenever any of our shows go live. So any of the shows with Three of Cups Divine Arts. And one last one. I do want to show the High Priestess from the Tarot of Delphi. So this is kind of a cool deck. It was actually printed here in Buffalo. I don't really know the story behind it, but it was printed here. It is a deck that has taken classical paintings as is and assigns a tarot card to them. And not only does the card, you know, have that energy and the meaning of the High Priestess, but there's also the energy behind that painting. So real quick, I will find the painting here, and we can kind of see how this deck uses art to illustrate the tarot. So this is the Priestess of Delphi, 1891 by John Collier. So I'm just going to read from the book here for this because I think it's cool how they connect it with the art. And the Pythia was the oracular priestess at the ancient temple of Delphi. She is encircled by vapors, escaping a fissure, symbols of trance and the great unknown. The Pythia sits between light and shadow. The darkness is all potential, and the light all knowledge. So that's exactly what the High Priestess is. So I love to use this deck when I do really in-depth coaching and tarot sessions together. I find it has so many levels to really kind of dig deep and kind of find those blockages and try to remove them. If you are having blockages, one thing that I like to make my own spreads. So if I wanted to know how I could invoke the spirit of the High Priestess, I would kind of focus on, I would shuffle the deck, focusing on the High Priestess and asking, what do I need to know right now? How can I pull in my intuition? What is my higher self trying to teach me? And pull cards and really kind of take a deep dive at that point. So that is an overview of the High Priestess. Again, she is the quiet stillness and feminine wisdom. She is between the veil of the light and the dark. And last week when I did the card pull, she was the last card that we pulled. Last week, it was Four of Cups, Two of Wands, and the High Priestess. So how was your week? How did your week reflect the Four of Cups, the Two of Wands, and the High Priestess? I know for me, after last Monday, I had a fairly emotional week, which is fairly unusual for me, to be honest. Four of Cups really did ask me to kind of like look at maybe what I had been ignoring in that emotional realm. Two of Wands is, how do we move forward from this? And it, the way my week played out, that was a great question. And the High Priestess, I did do a lot of reflection. I did do some soul searching. I did meditate on it. And that brings us to here. So I'm going to do, again, a quick 3-card pull. And this is going to be for the week ahead. So the week of Monday, December 9th. Oh, that one wants to pop out. So we're going to count that as our first one. So the first card, the one that did pop out, was King of Cups. So King of Cups is the end of the suit of cups. He is the authority of emotion, but we can't be the authority of emotion. King of Cups is the most intuitive of all of the king cards. He is the most emotional, but still has a slight disconnect. He's not quite touching the water. And yeah, I had difficult last week focusing. Definitely Four of Cups and High Priestess. I definitely had lots of Two of Wands. So King of Cups has that emotional depth, but sometimes has a hard time tapping into it and expressing it. He does have the scepter, so it shows his status as king, and then he has the cups. And then you kind of have some fish kind of popping out, which is kind of on the other side there. Just kind of one of the symbols, of the court cards in the cups. So the next card is Death. Transformation, which is rather fitting. We are in the last few weeks of 2019, kind of ready for it to be over. I think a lot of people are. And transition. What are we transitioning to and from? What needs to go? So at this full moon, really kind of tap into that energy. And, in that waning moon, let go and rest. And the next card is going to be the Ace of Cups. So after we have that King of Cups, when we go through that transformation, we're going to start fresh. We're going to start anew. There's going to be that new overflowing emotional energy. Ace of Cups is probably one of the most like bursting aces that are in the deck. So we see the hand. The hand comes from spirit holding that cup. And the cup has the dove. So it has some elements of Christianity there with the four-armed, equal-armed cross. And sometimes think of like new relationship energy. Think of how that feels. It's good, but it can almost be overwhelming. So in this, this winter time, in this time of, leading up to the solstice, this energy can actually feel like a lot. So again, kind of be kind to yourself and really see where this energy is coming from and do some self-care. Maybe baths, maybe that's what this is. So yeah, we're kind of going through the King of Cups energy, so getting in touch with your emotions and really allowing yourself to communicate them. It's the holidays. It can be the best time. It can be most difficult time. In any respect, we're all feeling a lot of feels right now, I think. What does that mean for us? Is it going to transform us, or are we going to transform it? Are we going to face it and move on? And then, the Ace of Cups. I'm sorry to hear that, Becky. Is joining her ancestors very soon, which will bring, a lot of, new emotions, a lot of emotions in general. And like I said, it can be overwhelming. So hopefully for you, this week it's going to be good. So next week, we will touch base with those cards and kind of go over that. I did want to talk about tarot tips. So what this is, when I teach classes, there is always questions that come up. And I figured I would add a little 5-minute segment on some of these questions or things that I get a lot. So I just held an event. It was kind of a round table, just people hanging out, some newer to tarot. And the question is, who pulls the cards? So my answer to that is whatever you want. It's up to you. You're never wrong in tarot. So what I do is I will shuffle. I will hand the cards to the querent, the sitter, the client, whatever verbiage you're comfortable with. I will have them cut, and I will, however many they feel like it, and then I put them back up, and then I draw from the top. That's how I do it. There are additional ways. I've seen people that do take the deck, fan them out, and have the person pick the number of cards. I've seen people push them in the center and kind of smoosh them all around and then pull them out that way. That way feels a little too chaotic for me, to be honest. So I don't tend to do that. But yeah, whatever you feel called to is how you do it. I switch it up. I did readings at a bar. I really didn't want people touching, shuffling my cards. So it was a real quick cut, real quick. Yep, when you're new, sometimes people are going to tell you, don't let anybody else touch your cards. That's probably what that person was comfortable with, but everybody's different. I read in public a lot. For me to be that precious about a deck that I read with in public is not feasible. It's just not reasonable for me. So I don't follow that. I think when you're doing a reading for someone else and you have that ability to be in public and sitting with them, I think they should touch them to kind of at least get a little bit of their energy in them. Maybe not like get all up in there, but at least get that energy in there. And yeah, so it was partially, you know, a lot of it. There was alcohol involved and clumsiness and, you know, falling on the floor and me having to pick them up from the floor and kind of touching the floor. That I was kind of not about that. But so, yeah, overall, it's really what you feel and really what you feel in that moment. You can switch it up. If you're doing private events, you know, if you're doing, you know, one-on-one session, you might do it differently than if it's at a public reading situation, or if you do them online, the person doesn't have a chance to touch them. You know, you have to, you got to figure out how you're going to do that. Amy said she was also told the same thing about not letting people touch her cards. And, you know, I don't mean to put, you know, anybody's practice down. If you don't like people touching your cards, that's fine. I do have a deck that I use just for myself, and I do get a little weirded out when other people touch it, but I don't do readings for other people with that deck. It is just one that I use for myself. But if I'm taking it into public or if I'm doing readings with someone, I kind of got to be okay with it. Yeah, so we have a little bit of time. If you have shared the video, if you could please hashtag shared. And we have some time, a few people on here, and I will pull some cards for you for the week. Just go ahead and comment. We don't have too much. Yeah, again, it's all what deck it is. So if you have shared and you do want a card, comment and let me know, and we will pull that. In the meantime, I am Liz Whitaker. If you do like what you've seen, please join me every Monday on Three of Cups Divine Arts. I'm also on Divination Station Tarot on Facebook, and you can kind of see events that I do. You can see pictures from there, spreads that I do, events if you are in the Buffalo, New York area. I'm always out doing something somewhere, whether it's teaching a class, doing readings somewhere. And yep, Becky shared like 6 times, so you get a card. Yeah, so I do have a few more events coming up this month. And if you are joining the replay, please hashtag replay so we know that people are interested and we can get to your comments, because your comments are important as well. So pop in the comments and hashtag replay, and we can get back to you too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a card for Becky. We have the Page of Pentacles. Pages are like students. They're always learning. It's that young energy. Pentacles are the earth suit. It's grounding. It's materials. It's also, pages represent earth and pentacles represent earth. So it's a really kind of earthy, grounding card. So I would say, you know, based on the time of the year and, you know, just all of the crazy energy that's been going on, I would say look into some new ways to maybe ground yourself. I don't want to say, I almost want to say like like something playful to ground yourself, nothing too like heavy or serious. Like if there's a way that you can find something fun. I mean, and I'm not quite pulling out what I think that should be right now. But yeah, kind of that like childlike energy. I'm thinking like going outside and playing, like going outside in the snow. It's not snowing here yet, but going outside and enjoying the weather as it is. It's difficult in, the Northeast to get outside and really get in the ground in the winter. And she said she was just talking about this last night. So yeah, I would, a pottery class, perfect. Pottery, from, it's clay, it's from the earth. It's something new. You would be learning, how to get in touch with that form of grounding. So that's exactly what I was talking about, with that kind of like fun spin to it. Spin. I'm so sorry. So yeah, kind of getting that spin. I'm doing some grounding with that. All right, so Amy, thank you for sharing. We'll go ahead and pull that card for you. And Becky said she's a crafter, but not like a glue gun crafter. I'm not either. I made candles a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun. So I definitely want to do more of that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a card for Amy. 8 of Wands. 8 of Wands. Wands is fire. 8 of Wands is go. 8 of Wands is a fast moving energy. Something new is going to be coming in, and it's going to be coming in hot. Everything, a lot of stuff this time of year is winding down. You're going to find this new source or this new outlet, this new energetic thing coming into your life. And once, 8 of Wands is like nothing but action. So that High Priestess, all that High Priestess energy that we just talked about, this is like kind of tries to knock her out. So kind of really do that deep dive and like see what this is, see what's changing quickly. Is it like job stuff, school stuff, like something just kind of happening very quickly and it was kind of not really anticipated, and now you kind of got to go through end of the year, holiday stuff, handling this new thing. And I think that's all we got. If anybody else has popped in, please just kind of comment over there and let me know, and I can get a card to you. And thank you very much for joining me. And thank you for being here with 3 of Cups Divine Arts. Don't forget to tag your friends in the comments and invite them to the page. And there's more great shows like Divination Station TV. Remember, you can catch me at Divination Station. There is a link over there pinned. So you can get right to my page like that and get all of my updates. I'd be happy to answer any questions through Messenger on my page. Again, if you are in Buffalo, if you want to go to any of my events or schedule anything with me, that's the best way to reach me. And Amy says about that card, I've been feeling that change coming, just haven't figured out what it is. Keep your eyes open. I have a feeling you'll know when it happens. And you already feel it, and you'll be prepared kind of when it comes in. Next week, we will be looking at the Empress. So again, we are going through the Fool's Journey. So we will take the first bit of the live to go over a lesson in that card, what that card of the Major Arcana means, what the archetype is, how to read that card, and a little bit of practical application with that. So next week again will be the Empress. If you do have a deck, between now and then, just take a look at the Empress, see what it means to you. And yeah, join me next week. Thank you.